What up, Pittsburgh Steelers fans? Matty P here with another episode of Steelers Warren on Steelers J.Warren and Under. We are talking all things Jaylen Warren, Broderick Jones, why Broderick Jones should be Jaylen Warren's best mate, especially after seeing yesterday's performance. As I like to say, I've said most of the season now, where there is a Warren, there is a way. Warren seems to lead the Steelers to a path to victory this season. Did a little bit last year at times as well with some key plays. So yeah, we're going to talk about how Broderick Jones and him being able to take some starts has actually benefited Jaylen Warren to an nth degree. So let's crack straight into it. Jaylen Warren obviously had the famous nine rushes yesterday, again in the game against the Browns, or 2 days ago, depending on when you're listening to this, for 129 yards. Now, a lot of people are saying 9 for 109, that's great. Take out the big play, right? Let's take out the big play for a second. 74 yards. And you get 55 yards. 8 rushes, 55 yards is almost an average of 7 yards per carry. It's just below because, 8 sevens are 56. That's incredible on its own. And then you add the touchdown run, the 74-yard run. And you see, from Jaylen Warren's perspective, just how an important performance he had for not only himself, but obviously for the Steelers. That's why he performs. He performs to make the team better. And he had 3 receptions for 16 yards as well. So he just fell shy with 146 yards. He just fell shy of 150 yards all purpose, which all from actually not even all purpose from the line of scrimmage, which is pretty incredible for this undrafted rookie. No, undrafted running back. Just in his second year. Now, the other cool thing was where it rated on Next Gen Stats. Now, I love Next Gen Stats, but Next Gen Stats isn't. It's kind of like assessing college players coming in the draft mid-season in the college season. It doesn't tell you everything until you get, at least in this case, until you get to mid-season, you've got a certain amount of data in there that you can ingest. Now, Jaylen Warren, after his run yesterday, had the most remarkable rush so far on the season in the entire league, right? There are 4 areas that Next Gen Stats, 7 areas that Next Gen Stats, there's 4 on offense, 5 on offense, that Next Gen Stats poll over the year across everyone. Now, they poll a bunch of different stats, but these are their stat charts. They've got charts, but these are their stat leaderboards, basically. Jaylen Warren, as I said, number 1 on this list. Look at some of the guys he's ahead of. Breece Hall, even Devin Arcane from Miami, that super speedy guy. Jerome Ford, who's done a lot for Cleveland. Christian McCaffrey, Derrick Henry, Arcane again, Breece Hall, who I think is a very underrated running back. But the key part about this is not that necessarily he's number 1 on the list. Look at the expected rush yards. 6 yards. 6 yards. Rush yards over expected, 68. 68. Now, that's tied with David Montgomery. But he had a higher expected rush yards number. So it's a bit, and he rushed for 1 yard more. So that's why Jaylen Warren is top of that list. But that gives you a sense of just how incredible a play it actually was. Now, you might be sitting there and saying, okay, cool. That's all Jaylen Warren. Obviously, the O-line has to play well for Jaylen Warren to play well. That's a given. But why Broderick Jones? So if we go back and look at, now they'll break this based on who had the more yards, who had the more starts. They're not that's not fully clear with Next Gen Stats sometimes. But if we look at the 4 charts that in there for Jaylen Warren, so week 4 of the season, week 4 against Houston, he had 26 yards, 6 yards, 6 receptions. He had a total of 6 targets, 6 receptions. Yeah. So this is his route chart, right? 39 yards. He went out to both sides of the line of scrimmage. Now, we know in the Texans game that Broderick Jones came into that game, for injury there with Okorafor. But yeah, basically, you look at this, how he goes both to the outside. That's not kind of surprising. But look at just how much he goes to the right side. Even in these, and remember, when your running back's receiving the ball, it is usually behind the line of scrimmage, or very close to. So that's where you're seeing where he's starting when he's starting off. You're seeing him behind that line of scrimmage. So that's a pretty key thing as well. Now, if you move into week 8, and you look at his carry chart, again, very middle of the field against Jacksonville. Again, when Broderick Jones, came in there, but very middle of the field, rush yards. Now, Najee had a big game that week. We could go look at Najee's chart if I want to make this video super long, and you could see there like how Najee ran. But Najee generally runs from the center, gets through the line of scrimmage, and then extends out. So not a heat there. But then you move into Broderick Jones getting comfortable in this offense, and you look at the chart from the game against Green Bay, where obviously we had that awesome game, 200 yards rushing. And you see Jaylen Warren, yes, he's starting to middle. Yes, there's a lot of runs to the left. But if you go back and look at those runs on tape, there are some of those, and actually I think off the top of my head, that's a lot of those runs, where Broderick Jones is pulling across. We talked about him in week 9 and week 10, about pulling across like a guard onto the complete other side of the field. That's what some of these runs are for. Now, you also see the touchdown run off to that right side. The amount of 5+ yards gained pretty much always came from the right side or when Broderick Jones pulls to the left side. This is a big deal. This is also very telling when I say things a lot on this channel like Broderick, the Jaylen Warren, the line was better built for Jaylen Warren than it was for Najee Harris. It was. The way that you can run between the tackle and the guards, it's a lot more of an explosive back. You watch Najee get run stuff yesterday. You watch Najee get run stuff a little bit lately where he scatters around the backfield looking for a spot. They're not powerful and big enough, believe it or not, I think a lot of people do, to push back and create those little windows on the interior for Najee Harris to go through. It's also very difficult when Mason Cole's snapping the ball all over the place. But Najee also doesn't have that explosive hit. So Jaylen Warren can get that ball, and as things open up, burst through that hole. And that's the thing that we saw in the preseason when he scored that touchdown outside that safety. I feel like you saw it this week as well. He hits the hole. Sometimes the hole perfectly opens up. That's great. But he's able to sort of, with his, and they're a much different player. One's like, Jaylen Warren's about 210 pound, 5'9", I think he is 5'10". Najee Harris is 6'2" and a bit and over 242 pounds. Very different types of players in terms of the windows they've got to squeeze through. So I'm going to tell you that. So that's in putting that comparison aside. Again, though, we are seeing Jaylen Warren rush to the right. Well, then you move into the game that we just had against the Steelers had against the Cleveland Browns, and look at this. Now the TD was so long that it's off the charts. It's off the Richter scale, as they say. Jaylen Warren, 129 yards, carries the 1 TD. And you look at this from the right side. Now, I've got to go back and fully look at all the tape again from the game. I know the all 22 is still coming. But the 5 yards gain, look at all that to the right. Look at the 0.5 yards gain, again, to the right. Now, the tackle for a loss comes down the center of the field and comes on this side. Now, that's going to be, you're going to have broken run plays when an edge isn't set, particularly against one of the best defenses in the league in the Cleveland Browns. That is just going to happen. That is what it is. There's nothing, that happens. That's football. Not everyone is going to be for a game. But when you look at this and you see 2 versus the 4 or 5 out to the right side and where they went, it's pretty big. Particularly when you see where he's coming in the center of the field and moving across. That's that lineman being pushed back. But needless to say, whether it's receiving balls on short near the line of scrimmage in the passing game, or whether it is taking these runs, Jaylen Warren is certainly benefiting from Broderick Jones. So we use that analogy, the fact of, if you played Madden at any time over the last, 15 years, they always say, or, if you're running backs, toward the top of the league, that he's got to buy the offensive line a bunch of watches or take them out for dinner or something like that. That's very much the case. Broderick Jones should be getting some prime freaking rib and a Rolex from Jaylen Warren at the end of this season, because since Broderick Jones has made it into the lineup and on this right side, look at the window of this open for Jaylen Warren. Now, I'm not saying this wouldn't have happened. I'm not saying that he wouldn't have done this. But when you bring in a 14th pick in the NFL draft, who was my top tackle in the draft, who is known for his run run blocking, and you see this result, that is absolutely huge. And that's what I'm really excited about. The other thing I'm really excited about is next year, when particularly how Dan Moore's already starting to play again, and the problems there. When Broderick is on the left, and the opportunities is going to give Kenny Pickett, or whoever the Steelers quarterback is, I'm not going to get into that chat, but particularly Kenny Pickett in the obviously the way he throws the ball. The left tackle is really important. So this is going to be allow him and Warren allow him to hand the ball off to Warren when he's not look liking what he's seeing. It's going to help with an RPO play. I don't feel like we get to see many RPOs when we should at times now. I thought there'd be more in Matt Canada's offense than what it is. But regardless, Broderick Jones, Jaylen Warren should be best mates because it's abundantly clear from this, not just the stats, but where the plays go on charts as to how much they're making an impact to each other. I'm kind of excited by it. Of course I'm excited by it, but I'm really excited to see where this goes throughout the rest of the season. This could be an unsung narrative and it's a nice narrative. It's nice to say something about the positive about the offense for once. It's not related to Matt Canada or Mike Tomlin or Kenny Pickett, two other blokes. But yeah, I'll be interested to see how this develops throughout the season, and particularly if we can go back, toward the latter stages of the season and have a look at what's happened over the next couple of weeks. But I'm going to be monitoring these charts definitely. Now, we might do one later in the week on Kenny Pickett's throws. A lot of people talk about the center of the field. Kenny Pickett was one of the best center field passes in college in his last couple of years at Pittsburgh, but in the college football game. So might go pull out some of these charts there. Again, I didn't want to do that earlier on in the season because it's very very one-off style stats. Whereas if you can compare a few set of stats, that's what makes it interesting. But I hope you enjoyed the show today and give you something a bit of a different take on Jaylen Warren and Broderick Jones. I'm really saying, obviously, I'm really liking the combination that these two blokes are providing, and it is very much benefiting the Steelers. And it's very cool to see from two guys on rookie contracts. But as always, if you like the show, hit that like button. If you're not a sub for the show and you're liking our content, hit that sub button. You get notifications. You get the lives that we do. We're looking to shake a few things up over the next few weeks for the rest of the season, heading into next year. So you'll be able to find out about all those different great things, all good shake-ups, of course, as well. But as always, go Steelers.